Welcome to the Danielic Podcast. This is a special extra episode we're putting out, and this evening we have me and Swoosh is here too. Unfortunately, we couldn't get John Doe in for this one, but we were able to replace him with someone just as good. Oliver Brackenbury is back to talk to us.
Hello.
Welcome.
So, for anyone who missed it, although go back and listen to it, it was a very good episode. We talked to Oliver back when he was getting ready to get started on his new magazine, New Edge Sword and Sorcery. At the time, we were anticipating the release of issue 0. That has happened, and by all accounts, has done quite well from what I hear.
Well, it has done well. It has done well, certainly enough that I'm putting myself right out on a ledge by trying to run a Kickstarter to pay for professional printing and better pay for contributors for issues 1 and 2, the sort of official proper mega launch. You know, issue 0 was this test, this prototype to find out, do I even like making a magazine? Answer, hard yes. Does anybody else like what the hell I'm making? Answer, yes, it seems. I mean, we've gotten a lot of good press, which is nice. Some of which you can check out on the website, newedgeswordandsorcery.com. I put up a little press page if people want to check out other people saying it's great, because obviously I'm going to. And yeah, I should have checked the count this morning, but it was maybe a month or two ago. We passed the point where combined across all 3 formats, we've had at least close to 1,500 people check it out. Which is not bad for something that came out of nowhere with $0 ad budget. And I'm pretty proud of what we have achieved in the meanwhile. So yeah, it was maybe, I promised it would come out in September, and it did, September 30th, but it did.
Still technically December, it's still a win.
Exactly. Technically right is the best kind of right. And since then, I think it was probably around November, maybe a month later, I kind of looked at the numbers and looked at the responses from people and went, it still feels like a bit of a gamble because it's independent publishing and I'm just some guy. I do not have any backing of any company or whatever to do this. But I thought, I'm going to go for it. I think people want more. I want to read more. So that's a good sign. The contributors all seem to enjoy working on it. So, if you read or enjoyed somebody in issue 0, except for 2 people because of just scheduling stuff, everybody's coming back. Yes. All of our artists are coming back. If you enjoyed the art, every single one of them is going to be back for one of the issues, 1 or 2. And I started spending time working really hard, emailing and scouting and so on, because I'm not doing open submissions right now. I want to make sure I can get each stage of this thing down well before I add another thing. So issue 0, I was I'm going to make the magazine, and I'm not going to try and make the magazine and also learn how to do professional printing and Kickstartering, because that on top of learning how to make the magazine, I'll get overloaded. So that's why, one of many reasons why we did the, it's free. Listener, if this is your first time hearing, you can check out issue 0 real easy. In digital, it's free. In softcover and hardcover, we did Amazon print on demand, so I didn't have to learn about printing, right? And there we sold it at cost, which means we sold it literally as cheap as possible. There's no profit on issue 0, which is important to me, partly because I wanted it to be very easy to check out, but also because I didn't have money to pay my contributors, so why should I make money, right? That's not ethical.
That's fair.
But that free price point has actually allowed me to show that issue to people I know who hadn't really ever read Sword and Sorcery or even knew what it was. And now when I told them, hey, the Kickstarter's happening, they're like, send me the link.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a great onboarding point, I think, which is really, really good for any community, but just getting to the wider people.
Thank you. And of course, that's part of the whole mission of the thing, right? I mean, I want the magazine to succeed, and I don't want to sound too evangelical about it, because with issues 1 and 2, I am trying to make it sustainable. And what that means in our late capitalist hellscape is a business. I do need to turn it into a business. But it's not because I'm going to get rich from independent publishing. It's hilarious when sometimes people, very rare, but I have had one guy accuse me of a cash grab, which I found very funny. I was like, if I wanted to grab cash, I would get an MBA. And I would get into something really fucking evil like oil. This is not
small publishing does not net you a retirement, unfortunately. That's
God. I mean, you
do this kind of stuff because you love it, not because there's money involved. Because there's very little.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want it to keep happening, then and you want it to be the best quality possible. And that's the thing for me, right? I very early on, I decided if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go as hard as I can. And what that means is putting out the highest quality product I can. I'm a big lover of the book as physical artifact. And that's why we did the unusual move. Nobody else is doing it that I'm aware of still, of publishing the magazine not only in digital and soft cover, but hard cover. And about 1 out of 6 people who bought the magazine since issue 0 debuted have bought the hardcover. And from what I've heard, rather enjoyed it. It does look lovely on the shelf. I've got my copy here. But one of the many reasons we want to move to what we're going to do is we're also going to do professional printing this time around. We've actually got a dedicated printer we've reached out to, done the whole thing of figuring out quotes and prices and blah, blah, blah. Nice. Is because I want it to be available until it's not, which sounds funny, right? Like, wouldn't that be how everything goes? But with Amazon POD, what I've experienced since we've launched the magazine is it's available sometimes and then it isn't. And then I have to bug them and then they go, we fixed it, but we're not going to tell you what happened. And then a month later, it becomes unavailable again in a different country. And so, just before we started recording, Seth was saying, like, I'd like to get the hardcover, but it's not available in Australia. And I said, oh, no, I thought I dealt with that. And then we checked again just now and it's not available again. Like, and it's print on demand, which doesn't make any sense. Like, can't they just fire up the printing presses and make another one?
You think so? Apparently not. Apparently I just get to see yours and be real jelly.
So it's so to my mind, it's like, well, okay. I mean, there were a bunch of reasons to want to escape Amazon on the printing side. But certainly for hardcovers, it's like, okay, well, this time around, it will be limited edition to get 100 people will be able to get hardcovers of 1 and 2. All our backer tiers are going to be get 1 and 2, so that makes it easier for us to plan this. If way too many people got 1 issue, it could throw things off. So 100 people can get 1 and 2, and enough people that it's not worth making it limited edition can get the soft cover, which is what I'd say 5 out of 6 people might with issue 0. So and also it's also fun to offer the hardcover because this time around we can actually put some really cool enhancements on it. So we have 2 stretch goals currently, though as we record this 7 days. What is it? Thursday. Yeah, so 7 days. Pardon me. Until the Kickstarter launches. Yeah. And there's still time for me to tweak things. Who knows? But I'm pretty locked for this. We'll have 2 hardcover exclusive enhancements. One of them will be bookmark ribbons. I say plural. You'll have 2. And because of the sort of 2-tone color scheme of our cover for hardcovers, which frame the art, and then as opposed to have the art covering the whole cover like it does for the soft cover. So we have this kind of like beige and navy blue thing that we've done with issue 0. I eyedropper tooled those out of the original art that Gilead did. And my plan is for issue 1 and 2 to do the same thing. We'll get original art, issue 2 by Gilead, issue 1 by Katerina Gabrizi, and I will just eyedropper tool the 2 best, playing together colors out of their art, and then use that to make the 2-tone color scheme of the hardcover frame and the bookmarks, which I'm told I can get in every color under the sun. So the bookmarks will be like color coordinated with the magazine. And then the other thing, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, foil embossed. We'll make the logo and title like nice gold, silver, whatever color makes most sense, again, to go with the color scheme for each of the 2 hardcovers. And if we raise more money than we know what to do with, I might look into end papering, which, if you're not familiar with the term, if you ever get like an old paperback from like the 70s or 80s in the sort of SFF sphere, even 50s and 60s actually, sometimes you'll notice the edges of the pages are like navy blue or green or pink or yellow. That's what that means. So we might even have, colored ends pages for funsies, but I mean, that's if we get like, cash grab money. Ugh.
Yeah,
get grief.
Hey, look, Kickstarters have blown up before out of nowhere. It can happen.
Oh yeah, no, I've backed a couple.
It's
like it's 5th edition modules that have become like 2 million. I think they made. And it's like, we have no idea what to do with this. We're just going to funnel it back into the book now.
Good grief. Well, if that happens, I'll be pretty happy. But and that's, I think, that would be the good attitude, right? Like, my whole philosophy with this, again, like I said, is to try and make the best thing possible. And there's sort of, these are like the guiding principles of the stretch goals, but really the whole thing. I want to make the highest quality book possible. That's one. And so most of our enhancements and stuff, stretch goals are like enhancements to the book. The very first one doubles the amount of interior illustration from 18 black and white illustrations to, from 9 per issue to 18 per issue, so 36 total. That's like each story gets 2 illustrations, right? It can have like a title page illustration and another sort of spoilery one deeper nestled in the text when the cool moment actually happens. Because that was sort of a funny struggle we had with issue 0, where we could only get 1 illustration per issue, except for the one where the author was also an artist, bless him. Remco Van Straten did a few extras for his story. So we had to be like, okay, artist, if it's too spoilery, we have to bury it deep. We can't do a title page for that one. And it meant we were kind of inconsistent in our formatting from story to story. So my real hope is that we get the first stretch goal with the double illustrations, and then I can be like, okay, one illustration will always be the title page, and then the other one will be the cool moment deeper in.
It'll also really help differentiate story to story, because you'll get that nice title artwork.
Nice break.
Exactly. And I can tell I'm already getting lost in detail, which, pardon me, listener, this is a danger if you embark upon this kind of a big project, is it has so many little cul-de-sacs of thought, and you're very excited about all of them. And it makes it very difficult for you to be coherent when telling other people about things, which is tricky when you're on a podcast trying to really get people excited about the thing. But so point is, 3 points, book enhancements, paying contributors more, right? Yes. Like I said, it was a passion project for issue 0. Everybody did it for free. But you can't keep doing that. People have to eat and pay rent and other weird expenses like that. So we have started a semi-pro payment for our authors and artists, which is, I think, not bad to start. This is our first time out the gate trying to fund. I'm not going to assume we can get prorate money that we would need to pay them. But most of our stretch goals are alternating pay bumps. So right after that, doubling the art, which is kind of a pay bump for the artist because it's like another piece they get paid to do. Then we just alternate between author and artist pay bumps until we get everybody up to prorate. And then only then we give a little boost to the staff, which does not include me. But it does include, our copy editor, our layout and design guy, like our social media guy. I'd be lost without him, because they deserve to get a bit better of an honorarium. I mean, we can't pay people at the staff level proper wages yet, but I hope so. And then after that, it's more book enhancements, and it gets us to the third thing of 3 that is very important to me with the magazine, which is making it accessible. Now, part of that is price, right? So like we've tried to keep the price down as much as we can. It's still going to be kind of fancy magazine price, but it's a fancy magazine. So I figure that works out. And we'll have digital, which won't be free because that's not sustainable, but it will be digital price. It'll be cheap. So we'll have digital, which also, of course, makes it accessible by shipping. That's easy for digital. But people who want physical artifacts who don't live in America might be a little put off by the thought of paying a lot of shipping, right? Yeah. That's a common problem with book projects. You guys are in Australia, you know the deal. And I thought about this, because even in Canada, I'm right next door to the States, and I have had to go at a few book projects in the last couple of years, because the shipping would just be so much, even for me, just over the border. So I thought about that, and I thought, okay, well, how can we make this magazine more accessible internationally? Oh, I know. We'll just make a stretch goal that is a fund. It's a pot of money that will be used to take $5 US off Canadian shipping, $10 US off international shipping. I wish I could pay for all the shipping, but so if we get that stretch goal,
I appreciate that so much.
Oh, absolutely. I'm hoping we get to that stretch goal.
To Canada, try getting it out here. We're talking like I think the last big Kickstarter for books that I backed, I think I paid almost $150 in additional shipping fees.
Oh my God.
I think it's around that, because we were getting how many books? About 11 or 12?
15 books at £12 for the whole lot.
Yeah.
Basically, the amount we paid in shipping was roughly the same amount we paid for the Kickstarter, but I will never complain. It was still really good.
And even that's better than some. I was looking at one thing where I would be paying 150% of the value of the magazine to get the copy of the magazine. Shipped from the States.
Jesus.
Like,
that's terrifying.
I don't know what the hell was going on there, but so the point is, like, we feel your pain. By we, I mean me. But so we feel your pain. So one stretch goal is going to be a shipping fund to take money off the cost of international shipping. The other thing is you can pay shipping in installments, because we've teamed up with BackerKit. For people who don't know, BackerKit is a really well-established company. Their whole thing is helping make sure that the people who back the campaign get the thing. And part of how they do that is they make it so that the backer can kind of protect themselves from fluctuating shipping rates by not charging shipping in the campaign, which also makes the campaign total lower, makes it more likely to happen. And instead, what happens is you get like a little email a little after the campaign funds saying, hey, what's your address? And you go, I live here. Okay, cool. And then you just forget about it until it's time about a month before it is time to ship the thing, at which point you get another email saying, hey, is your address still this? Okay, cool. By the way, now pay shipping based on the current rate. And so it's kind of nice, because that way, even if the shipping, discount fund does not happen, although I hope it does, you will still have the ability to pay your shipping in you can pay for the whole thing in 2 installments, basically, by paying for the shipping months later, which is nice. So,
which is great.
So So there's that, and then finally the thing I didn't expect or plan for, but it was a very happy coincidence. Or
I think this is the
chance.
best thing you've done. Is this last one? Like, pay you guys as much as you can, but like this is really good. Like this one here, this last stretch goal.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So before we get to infinite pay raises, which is what it is after a while, because I'm just going to run out of things to add to the magazine, I thought one last thing would be kind of fun. I was very fortunate, and this is something I think anybody who tries to kickstart a project should kind of not ever assume will happen, but be prepared for. Be prepared for the fact that if you're making something really cool and people really like what you're doing, and maybe you put out a proof of concept, which is what I did with Issue Zero, people might go, I want to help out even before it gets to the point of money and Kickstartering. And I was so lucky. A fellow by the name of Gonzalo, who I know through the server where I mostly jabber about Sword and Sorcery with all the other addicts, he reached out to me and said, hey, man, I really want to support the magazine. I could translate a story, because there's a Spanish language Sword and Sorcery scene in Central and South America. He said, I could translate a Spanish language story for you. I'd do it for free, just this once, to help boost the magazine. I went, holy crap, yeah. So we worked together, through him, because I don't speak a lick of Spanish. We read a few magazines and chose excitedly a story by Jesus Montalvo, and his story that was published in Quinta Raza, and which is the magazine. And we reached out to Jesus, and he was like, yeah, man, let's do it. So Gonzalo is right now working on the translation of his story. And so it's kind of fun because, to the best of my knowledge, we are the only contemporary Sword and Sorcery magazine that has done or will be doing something like this. So that's cool. And I really want to tap into that Spanish scene. And so I thought about it. I was like, well, what if we took this further? And so I asked Gonzalo, could you translate both magazines, but once we have them made and written in English, translate them all back into, could we translate them all back into Spanish and maybe make it available as an EPUB? And he couldn't do it, but he put me in touch with someone, blah, blah, blah. Point is, our biggest, hairiest stretch goal is to translate the magazine into Spanish. And make it available by EPUB.
I think that's amazing because so many books get put out, but they never get translated to another language. The fact that your first one, straight out the gate, your first issues are going to also get a separate language translation, I think that's amazing. And the fact that you found a whole other thriving community in another country, and instead of being like, we'll get to them later, you're like, no. We're going to help serve them now. We're going to get them that book. I think that's amazing. And I really hope you get to that stretch goal because that is something so few people do.
Me too. And honestly, if I thought it was remotely plausible, I would add 2 more translations to that. I'd add Portuguese, which is also a big scene because, again, Central South America, and maybe French, actually. But anyway, I looked into some other stuff, and translation is expensive, and it's not something I learned was that I had no idea how the pay rates went. I didn't know what translators get paid on average, but I also didn't know how that worked in relation to the writers. I thought, well, they've already done the work. Do they get paid again? I want to pay writers more, but I don't want to make it impossible for me to make this thing happen. All these thoughts you have, and I looked into it and, okay, I'm down with it. So you pay the sort of agreed upon average across editors I was able to talk to. And I was lucky. I did sort of tap into an online community of other SFF magazine editors is you pay the translator what their rate is, and you pay the authors again. So that stretch goal at the very end, actually, I maybe should highlight this. I don't think I'm doing that right now. It's not just paying for a Spanish translation, EPUB, all backers get it for free, and then it's made available for sale affordably on the store that we'll have eventually. It also is another prorate payday. It just goes bunk and doubles the payday for the authors.
Wow.
So
that's
I would
awesome.
definitely say highlight that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I should. So there you go. So that, like I said, it all comes back to this thing of financial accessibility, and language accessibility as much as we're able, making the highest quality product. Yeah. I mean, I don't, shame anybody who likes extra bits of jingle jangle, with their books and things, the keychains, whatever. But I just think, to me, it was like, let's put all the money into the thing that you're already getting. Let's make the thing you're already getting better, easier to get. Faster, stronger, or however the Daft Punk song goes. Faster, stronger, harder. It's so complicated to remember that lyric. But yeah. So that's kind of like our main thing there. And so I've spent the last few months learning. I didn't know how to get a printer, but luckily I have a lot of Evernote files. This will be sort of my raw foundational advice to anybody who wants to eventually maybe do a project like this, keep good notes. I use a mixture of Evernote and physical notebooks, but however works best for you, keep good notes and write down stuff that you're like, I have no idea what I would do with that right now, but maybe later. Because one big way I saved my arse was early on. I thought, okay, I've not done this before. I'm pretty okay at math, but I'm not like really like a big accounting brain guy. And I'm worried because I've heard horror stories of people who run Kickstarters where they don't do the numbers right, and then they just get boned. They don't have money to pay for the tax or whatever, right? Somehow it gets all messed up and it ruins them financially, and they get really mad at them because they don't deliver the thing, or they deliver the thing, but at the what cost of their own, financial health. So just because of a webcomic guy named Tom McHenry that I follow on Twitter, and he hasn't done comics much lately, but whatever. Just by chance, I followed him, and then his partner, Sarah, is also very funny on Twitter, so I followed her. And then by following her, I learned that she did a fulfillment for Topatico, which is a company that is basically responsible for a lot of North American and other webcomic people making a living. Topatico does a lot of basically merchandise for webcomic people and other publishing types. And eventually when Kickstarter and all that became a thing, Topatico's been around a while, they started doing fulfillment for campaigns. And Sarah worked for them and then now works solo, helping people with Kickstarter campaigns make sure they work and they happen and people get the thing. And so, she's helped, I think the total of all the Kickstarters she's helped at this point is $3.5 million. You can check that out at sarahmchenry.com. And I'm heartily recommending her to anybody out there who thinks like, I want to do a Kickstarter, but I'm a little scared. I need a bit of hand holding. I need a bit of information from someone who knows more of what they're doing. And also something big that Sarah's doing for me is, I live in a downtown apartment. I do not have room to turn my place into, the New Age Sword and Sorcery warehouse when all the magazines come in. So blessedly Sarah, I presume, has an arrangement of some kind with, because I don't think she lives in a huge warehouse, but she has it set up so that, I can have her, I'm going to have the books delivered to her in Chicago and then she will ship them out. So that's really cool. She's helping take that sort of small business side of it that I do not physically have room for in my daily life. For a very reasonable fee. So that was the thing I did very early on. And it was also good to bring her on board because Sarah knew printers. I didn't know printers. I knew like a half dozen POD type things, none of which really appealed to me because, basically the issues with Amazon, quality control, and also the chunk of payment they take out. All the reasons not to want to do POD, which is a perfectly legit thing, and I'm not shaming anyone for doing, don't get me wrong, but I want to see if I can do something where I have more control, make a little bit more profit that I can invest back in the business, blah, blah. So Sarah also helped me because she already had a relationship with a couple of printers, and she presented what they were doing, and we talked about it and picked a printer called Regent, operates out of Hong Kong, that I'll be using. So hopefully the international shipping thing doesn't happen again where that guy blocks the Suez Canal. Didn't that just happen a second time?
Something like, I think it wasn't as bad, but something did get jammed again.
Whoops, it's the big Twin Peaks giant shows up, it is happening again. But then again, from Hong Kong, it's probably not a problem. Anyway, whatever, point is, I'm getting lost in detail again. Sorry, listeners, this is the thing where, like, if you like the detail, I got it for you, but if you want just the bare bones facts...
Unfortunately, we're not the guys who are going to stop you.
So this is all kind of like early, like, October, November-y stuff that I was figuring out. Find people who are smarter than you, who have relationships that you don't have, that you can tap into, who can help you with the stuff you don't know what you're doing. I think is basically a big thing that I've tried to carry into this project, and I'm glad I've done it. And then, I just started aggressively seeking out talent. I mentioned earlier, we're not doing open submissions for the magazine. Now that is with a ... yet. I do eventually want to climb that mountain. But as I said, I want to figure out each step along the way. So I felt like, with issue 0, I learned, okay, I can make a magazine. I now know how to do layout and design and work with the authors and so on. I can always have room to improve, but I know I can do it. And I know I like it. Okay, I'm going to do it again twice with issues 1 and 2. Now I'm going to get my head around Kickstarter because I have done crowdfunding before, but it was like 10 years ago on Indiegogo. I need an update, and I'm glad, I have an idea of what works, and I have had some harsh lessons on those old Kickstarters ages ago. For example, promising too many physical rewards that you have to ship out is a big bummer for a lot of Kickstarter people. So that's part of why we're doing things the way we're doing it with the magazine. I realized I was like, I don't think I want to also take on top of the big crowdfunding thing, I don't also want to take on doing a slush pile. I don't want to try and navigate that because it's a lot of work. I mean, all of this is a lot of work, but the slush pile I think would be too much work on top of the other stuff that I'm figuring out. And I really want to kind of establish the voice of the magazine very, very,
Yeah.
very clearly in its first issues. And a good
Absolutely.
way to do that is to just pick who you want in the magazine directly. So I spent a few months, pretty much up until 2 weeks ago, actually. I was still finalizing a couple of names, but the lion's share of it was done by the time Christmas rolled around, of me reaching out to authors whose work I'd read and said, I like your stuff. Here's what I'm doing. Do you want to get on board? And, some people I could get, some people I couldn't, whatever, it's how it goes. But ultimately, I'm extremely happy with my roster of contributors to this in both the authors and the artists. It has never been a better time to find artists for a project because, they're all online. They're all posting their stuff, Instagram, my follower, as in people I'm following, my following count on Instagram has just gotten bloated over the last few months as I just keep finding cool artists. And even if I can't, maybe, they're not available or I can't afford them this time around or whatever, maybe next time, right? So, yeah, so many cool artists, doing so much cool work. And I have been very, very lucky to get everyone on board that I have for this one.
I mean, I'm
too
really
many names to mention.
happy hearing earlier on you said that you got all the authors, and except for a couple, and the artists back from the issue 0. So it's like... I'm already invested in some of these artists and their stories and things, and it's like, oh, we're getting more.
Yeah. And I think I can safely say at least one of the authors, two. I can safely say at least 2 of the authors from issue 0, their characters, if you enjoyed them in issue 0, great, because they're coming back.
Yes.
Daryl Quiogue's, sort of Genghis Khan-inspired character, Orhan the Snow Leopard, will be returning. He was just messaging me about a story idea yesterday, and listener, I liked it. And David C. Smith will be bringing his sort of thieving duo back as well, for sure. I'm pretty sure J.M. Clark is bringing back Kiembe as well, but I don't pin him to
that's
that.
my favorite one.
Oh, yeah?
Nice.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'll make sure I'll tell him that. And actually, that's one of the fun things that I've been doing since issue 0 came out. This makes me sound like someone's mum, but it's just, I want everyone to feel appreciated. I want everyone to feel loved. And so every time I've seen like a comment on Facebook or, a section of a review that pertains to a particular author or artist, saying this guy's stuff was great, I'll screen cap it and send it to the person.
Oh, really? That's always good.
Yeah. But it's fun, man. It makes it more fun. And you want people to feel valued. And, and that's ultimately been one of the main things I learned by doing issue 0, that I went, I love this and I want to keep doing this, was getting to treat creators the way I, myself, a writer, like to be treated. So, that's been a big part of the joy of it. So like I said, a lot of the work's been getting the authors and artists racked up. And yeah, all of the artists are coming back. So if you like the art from issue 0, hurrah. And a whole bunch of new people.
Speaking of authors, you've picked up a pretty big name in the sword and sorcery community. People outside might not recognize him, but do you want to speak a little bit on that?
Yeah. Thanks for catching me. I've only got his latest book beside me here. Yeah. So, and I honestly think like a non-zero amount of people outside in Sorcery will get it. But like, if you're into it, this name should light your eyeballs up. So we won't. I was going to say, actually, we've been doing contributor reveal posts on our social media in the run-up to the Kickstarter, and we'll be doing more afterward because maybe you haven't checked out the Kickstarter where we list everybody yet. And that's been very fun seeing people's reactions. And this episode's going up on February 2nd when it launches. Great. Mm-hmm. February 1st, the day before, we will have revealed that Michael Moorcock will have a new original story in issue 1 of New Age Sword and Sorcery. Now, if you know this, like I said, it will make your hair stand up, because Michael Moorcock is one of 3 names that always get bandied about as the legends of sword and sorcery through the 20th century into this one for him, along with Robert E. Howard, the creator of Conan, the guy who basically birthed the bloody genre, and along with Fritz Leiber, creator of Fafhrd and Grey Mouser. And if you don't know who that is, you should check him out, because he basically invented the contemporary fantasy rogue thief, Thieves Guild, City of Thieves, all that stuff. Check him out. Michael Moorcock has written scobs of books, many characters. He's been writing since he was like 21, 2, 3, somewhere in that neck of the woods. He published his first book. He's 82. He's still writing. And he's not a legend with dust on him. He's had his main character Elric of Melnibone, who's kind of an inverted Conan. He's kind of neat, that guy. He's been publishing Elric stories since getting published, I should say, since he was in his early 20s. And just last year, he had a complete 3-book hardcover collection of all the Elric novels, novellas, whatever, from the past, put out by Tor. Not a small publisher by any stretch, and The Citadel of Forgotten Myths, a new Elric novel. Like, the guy is still thundering along and doing well, and people still like his stuff. But if you're not familiar with him, I really, really endorse checking out his work, not just because it's good, but because he is a direct inspiration, cited often, to creators like George R.R. Martin, whose House of Dragons show, Matt Smith's character, the look of him is Elric, tits to toes. And then just amongst other things, but especially like if you were going to cast someone to play Elric, it would be Matt Smith, more or less wearing the battle armor, in that. And then Neil Gaiman, I was listening to an interview with him on Mark Maron maybe a month or two ago, and in that interview he directly says, Michael Moorcock, big influence, love his stuff. In that sort of friendly way that authors do, he kind of lifted some stuff from Michael Moorcock's writing to include in Sandman when he was doing that back in the day.
Checking through Audible before, we found the Elric series, Neil Gaiman's actually listed as a co-author on there.
Yes, because he has, I should have thought, in the first volume of this new big collection of the Elric stuff, he did a little intro, which was sort of a funny little personal story. It's interesting. So there you go, exactly right. Neil Gaiman's plainly a fan, and has been inspired by him. And lots of people, like, this is the other thing, do you read Michael Moorcock? Like I said, the other guy for his library is like a foundational author for Fantasy Thieves and stuff. Moorcock is foundational for a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, it's debatable in some ways, I suppose, but I've seen it cited too many times to ignore that he may well be responsible for the concept of the fantasy multiverse. And all this stuff of, law and chaos and balance and the struggle between those three things that, any fan of Warhammer and Games Workshop stuff is really familiar with, and Black Library books. They took that straight from Moorcock, including the symbol of chaos with the arrows pointed in all directions, for example, all Moorcock. He's been a huge influence. And if you aren't familiar with him and go back and read him, you'll just keep tripping over stuff going, okay. Yeah. Oh, this thing I love that came later was building on this. But as I say, I don't want to make him sound like he's dusty in a vault for you to check out. He's living, he's writing, he's publishing. And I am incredibly lucky to have him on board for an original story for issue 1.
Wow. I've read a lot of fantasy stuff before, and this guy, I feel bad that I've not read his books.
Yeah,
and it sounds like a serious win to get a new story from him for this magazine.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need me.
Like he's essentially sounds like what Tolkien is to high fantasy, Moorcock is to sword and sorcery, by the sounds of it. He's just influenced so much. I mean,
it's arguably, I would say if you were to do that, I would say Tolkien, like I said, is kind of split between 3 guys, but Moorcock's the only one still living. So yeah.
I'm
gonna give it to him. Sorry, Robert E. Howard. Well, that got dark. But
Also, good news. We have managed to kidnap John Doe.
Oh yes, hello.
Hi, I've managed to make it in after everything that's going on here, but I'm here now, and I'm just reading through everything with Kickstarter at the moment, and I'm
So listener, I've sent them the link to, because you can preview the campaign, run it by people for feedback, and I'm glad I did. I'm in a quantum state as I say this. I do not know if it will happen, but I'm pretty sure it will happen. The guys here actually had a fun idea that, Seth was saying how he really liked the art in issue 0, but would have liked it if it had been available in a format that he could even use for, a piece of art for his background or whatever, just check out the art in like a separate file. Which had not occurred to me. And now I'm thinking, we could totally do that as a Kickstarter exclusive. So, if people who buy the book later will not get it, but if you get in on the Kickstarter, I think it's fair to say we will be able to offer a, zip file or whatever of high quality versions of the graphics for non-commercial use, not in any publishing, just private, personal fun times. Like I say, background on your computer, that kind of thing. I've got to look into it though. So, let's say Quantum State, this may be on the Kickstarter by the time this airs and you see it.
Yeah, the art welcome.
Yeah, you are welcome. Or fuck off. No. No, I just mean it's one of those things, and this actually goes back to something a good point to mention or bold for anybody listening who's thinking about doing their own thing. Be careful not to promise anything until you've got it 110% confirmed.
Oh yeah, definitely,
100%.
You know, that's how I say.
Kickstarter's fault of feature creep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, I if I can, I will offer that art book. Look for it if it is possible. I will offer it.
It might have to wait for issue 3 and 4.
Yeah, maybe we'll see what happens. Now, if we do, that brings me to something else. Actually, think about the future. If we get to do issues 1 and 2, hurrah! Obviously, first up, just hurrah! And I will then have money to pay the people to make the thing. So that means it won't ship. Probably it won't ship. I don't think it's all very. I'm figuring it out. It's my first time doing it, right? But like I said, I've got good people. I've got Sarah on board. I've got Backer Kit on board. I've got I've got people in place to help make sure this thing happens. But yeah, I can't give you like a day. I'm hoping that people will be able to have it in their hands by October, shipping God's willing, of 2023. And to save on shipping, I'm just going to ship both issues together, which feels funny, right? Because you think magazine, I want to release it quarterly or once a month. And I hope to get to a point where I can find an economic model to make that viable. But right now, I just think people would rather not pay double the shipping just for the thrill of getting issue definitely. 2 a month later. So we're going to ship them both together. I'm hoping in September so that people can start going, oh boy, and read it in October, with an eye to maybe doing a Kickstarter for issues 3 and 4 a year today, more or less.
That'd be fun.
But beyond that, I'm very serious about how I really want to try and turn this into a proper running concern, proper business, because I do really enjoy all the problem solving of this, and I do really enjoy getting to treat creative people the way I like to be treated as a creative person. And also, I just bloody love the stuff that making. So we'll see what happens. I'm not making any big promises, but as a kind of with all those caveats now made, I have been looking into and making little rough plans. If we find issues 1 and 2 and it looks like this is going, people want more stuff. I'm going to make it a proper little publishing company. I'm hoping to do like mini anthology style themed issues. So like New Edge Sword and Sorcery special issue, one we talked about that was kind of fun. We call it Greybeards, but maybe make something more gender inclusive. So I don't know, gray hair, gray skins, something like that, Silver Steel, whatever. So basically do an issue where it's older creators writing about older characters in Sword and Sorcery. So like you're kind of like your Dark Knight Returns, Batman when he's 50 and he's all covered in scars or whatever, or older even. So do an issue of stories themed and non-fiction themed on that would be kind of cool. Or another one themed on, I don't know, pirates, or do one themed entirely on stories and creators of Asian backgrounds, that kind of thing. Just whatever the heck it is. So let's find a unifying theme, like I say, like an anthology, but a special issue of the magazine, and probably do a Kickstarter for 2 together. Thank you, and we've got like 20 that we want to do, so that's why I started babbling.
At the same time, it's really cool because it's like you're not just trying to get this one over the line and maybe we'll do a 3 and 4. Yeah, okay, these may not turn out for a year, 2 years, 3 years, but you're already thinking about it. You're already looking to enhance the product. It's not a cul-de-sac of, if we get New Edge Sword and Sorcery, we do 2 a year. Cool. Nah, you're already looking to be like, oh, we could do some spin-offs and get some special artists and writers in to do this really cool collection. You're already looking to expand. I think that's good because it gives you that faith that, cool, backing it now means I'm getting my first issues, and there's a lot more coming. It's not just a, now what?
There's a foundation here as opposed to just being we'll do it now. Like, there's solid...
we'll just keep coming more updates, which is nothing wrong with that. But yeah, and I mean, honestly, the other thing is I want to seriously publishing books. I would really like to publish a book-size anthology, which certainly I would do open subs for that. I'd have to. And also, one thing I really love, and I like that it is coming back. It doesn't seem to be happening, so this gives me faith that people would dig it if I did it. Novellas. I would really like to publish Sword and Sorcery and perhaps other genres down the road. Christ, I don't know, but let's just stick to Sword and Sorcery for now. Novellas, because I think the novella is a great length. Sword and Sorcery, as I talked about in issue 0, one of the things that sort of makes it a really distinct fantasy subgenre is like a bunch of stuff, but one of them is it really works well in short episodic tales. And I have enjoyed what Tor has been doing with their novella series, like their Murderbot series, for example, where it's kind of like a TV show in the sense that each novella tells like a pretty tight story, and it's definitely like crafted as kind of an episode, not in the sense of you're committing, oh god, another long fantasy series, but just like, here's like one adventure with Murderbot, check it out. You know, if you get Murderbot 2, there's some continuity, but it still functions as just like a fun, you know, if you start there, it works for you, don't worry about it kind of thing.
Trust me, I love that idea. We've been doing, we started doing a bit of a book club as part of our podcast. And one of the things we kept running into was like we'd start a book and be like, "Oh God, there's 13 more." So,
and then was
the idea of like one and done is actually something really good. And I don't know about you guys. When I first got issue 0 of Sword and Sorcery, I was reading it on my lunch break at work, and it was really good to be like, "Look, man, I've got 30 minutes. I can sit and read a short story and done."
Yeah.
Exactly. And the novellas are fun, one and dones, or in series that are planned, you know, as I say, sort of planned episodically. So if you read all of it, you get rewarded for reading all of it. If you read book 7 on its own, fuck it, you still had a good time. And so what I'd love to do, my idea, again, we'll see what happens with the economics, but what I would love to do is have like a quarterly subscription for novellas. And so, like, line up 4 authors, each book having an artist dedicated, I would think, for internal black and whites, probably culled from the magazine, right? And just, every 3 months you get a novella from one of the authors that were listed in the Kickstarter in the mail. And I would definitely be offering that in gorgeous, every enhancement I can think of, hardcovers.
Oh, man.
But, you know,
so you've already had us hooked, but then you mentioned the hardcovers. It's like,
if you can hear my voice right now out in the internet, back this man's Kickstarter. Make it happen. I want these books.
I want these novellas.
In my unbiased opinion, you should listen to him. I've got these exciting plans, and for me, a big thing of it is always, and this is my advice as well to anyone doing stuff. If I'm in any position to give advice, we'll see if issues 1 and 2 get funded. I think it's a good way to help make something that is already going to be a lot of work manageable is to see how you can plug stuff you're already doing into the thing and how you can build on the thing as opposed to create separate whole other things that are unrelated. So like what I said when I was talking about those novellas, which like, I don't know when those are going to happen, man, but like sooner, I hope. We'll see. 2 years from now, I don't know. But whenever the hell those things happen, like I said, I would already know artists from doing the magazine, right? So, and then like, meanwhile, I can't speak, guys. Sorry, listeners. It's early in Canada.
That's fine. We can barely speak English half the time.
Putting together the magazine, something that's really benefited me is my writing podcast called So I'm Writing a Novel. You can check it out, soimwritinganovel.com. It's available everywhere podcasts are found. Point is, through interviewing many authors and artists, that's where most of the talent came from for issue 0. I'd already built these relationships with people. I'd already interviewed, say, Daryl Quiog, and I was like, I know I like your stuff because I read it, and I went, I want to interview this guy. We got to know each other. We liked each other from the interview. So then it's like pretty easy peasy getting him on board with the magazine. So, find ways that like your creative endeavors, if you have more than one going on, and, most of us like to try and do lots of things, find ways they can benefit each other and plug into each other and build off of each other. I think that's a really good thing because like, even if the publishing thing gets going, and I hope it does, it will definitely be more profitable than the podcast unless something really magical happens. But I hope to keep doing the podcast because A, I enjoy it, and B, it's great for building relationships. And that's part of what I enjoy about this too. Like I'm Johnny Extrovert over here. I love meeting people. I love meeting and building relationships with other people. And I guess that comes back to something else that sometimes can, people get, feel awkward about or even slimy, networking. All networking means if you have the right attitude, and I think I do, and I feel lots of people do, I didn't invent it, is to not treat it as like, how can I use you? And be like looking over someone's shoulder at a party because you saw somebody more important. You look at it as making friends with peers, and if you get lucky and get to be in touch with a Michael Moorcock or some other big figure, awesome. But the goal is to build peer relationships so that you can all help each other, lift each other up. I continue to be extremely grateful to the Issue Zero contributors. I enjoyed working with all of them and would be inviting them back anyway. But it had always been my plan that if Issue Zero did well and we could Kickstarter for more issues, which is what's happening, I would of course invite them all back because they help lift me up by making it possible to make issue 0. We helped each other out. I made the magazine happen in the sort of top-down umbrella organizational, like making the project happen thing. Of course, the magazine couldn't have happened without me. It also couldn't have happened without them. So, of course I'm going to bring them back when I can bloody pay them and try and pay them as much as humanly possible. Stretch goal.
Absolutely.
Hell, like even just like this podcast itself, talking to you the first time, you gave us some tips and advice. Hell, the program we're using right now to record it, we didn't even know about. Our podcast has gotten better just by having talked to you. We've essentially networked with Oliver Brackenbury, and it's already made things better. The rising tides lift all ships. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that if you look at the entire globe, there is a technically finite amount of people and money and time to give to creative endeavors, for sure. But I just prefer not to think of myself as being directly in competition with anybody. And I have long since learned that you have a lot more to gain by sharing and helping others that are doing similar things to you than by hoarding information. I'm sure there's the odd prick I don't feel like helping.
There's always at least a couple.
Yeah, exactly. But pricks happen. Other than that obvious caveat, I do very transparent sharesies on my podcast all the time of whatever I'm up to, and certainly if it succeeds, I will do it more happily. But succeed or fail, I do plan to release an episode of So I'm Writing a Novel where I will talk about the Kickstarter in sort of really real detail, how it went, why do I think it went that way, and what comes next. Which might be just cry a bit if it fails. But
this next month is slated for crying in bed, and then we'll move on from there.
I'll be crying from April through May, 9 to 5. But even if that happens, I mean, I know myself, I'm not going to stop wanting to make things. So there will be some kind of what's next, even if it fails. But obviously, I would prefer massively that it succeed, and so I can build on it, do more issues, do those specials, do those anthologies, do those novella subscription things, do those beautiful hardcovers with end papers, and then a note from your mum saying she loves you. I don't know, whatever enhancements I can put in there.
So we've talked about the past, issue 0. We've talked about the Kickstarter that's happening now, and we've talked about the delicious things in the future, which I absolutely want.
Yeah.
How about we round things out? If you've got anything less you'd like to hit, Oliver?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I'm always doing too many things. I mean, part of the fun of doing promotion, actually. Wait, a little bit of promotion, just a bit of that. Not promoting me, although I feel like that's been the hour. I would just say for anybody who's trying to promote your stuff, that whole thing of just reaching out and being friendly and building relationships and treating people as peers, it also works a lot better there, too. Every single time I've reached out to people about, can I be in your podcast to talk about the thing? For example, I have said and followed through on this with issue 0. Of course we will promote your show when our thing comes out. So if I'm on here for a chat, I'm not going to just let you put it out and hope that you do the work for me. I'm going to promote your show by promoting the episode that I'm in. So we lift each other up, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So maybe I can kind of do the end episode promotion that people usually do on these kinds of things as a kind of meta promo, or whatever, just saying, hey, it's been cool getting to reach out to people, meet people, help them to show there's value in you and them helping you, and just be buds. So that's it. Otherwise, newedgeswordandsorcery.com is the website with all the links to all the things. Issue 0 will still be available if you want to check that out before you're back. But I would encourage you to run, don't walk, to the Kickstarter. Which the link is on the website. The link, I presume, will be in the show notes for this episode. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter link is very long. It's like kickstarter.com new-edge-sword. So, but if you just go to Kickstarter and search for New Edge Sword and Sorcery, you'll find the bloody...
We'll link it through there.
Look, or hunt for us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, New Edge Sword and Sorcery. We'll be posting the link like bastards. Because I can't remember if I mentioned it pre-recording. I did, but not in here. You would want to get in on the Kickstarter on day 1 if you can, partly because, it helps me. If we fund on day 1, it looks great and gets more people, because you get momentum right when you do Kickstarters. Yeah. People want to back a sure thing. So, I'm absolutely asking you to, help me by backing it day 1. But I will try and return the favor. Physical tiers, because it's got to be something we ship. So digital, I'm afraid, doesn't get it. But softcover, hardcover backers will get a first day, launch day, Kickstarter exclusive bookmark. And that physical, classic cardstock bookmark will have original art by an artist called Sapro. You can see samples of her art on the Kickstarter page. She's brilliant. You will get a piece of her art on the bookmark that will never be shown online, not by us anyway, and will never be used in anything else. It is exclusive entirely to this bookmark. Even if we only print 50, well, I guess there's only 50 copies of it. That's it. So, if you want something cool that shows, I backed this thing day one, go on for it. And maybe if you back it, there'll be the digital art book, but definitely if you back it, there will be the magazine proper in digital softcover, hardcover.
I'm not going to lie, I am a slut for an art book, so I will definitely want that going forward. But
if we can have it, because I remember I'm recording this a week before launch. We will have it.
No pressure, man. No pressure.
But I love it. It's a good idea. And that will be Kickstarter exclusive for the 30 days if we do it. I think. Look,
I love the idea of a bookmark, but I'm not going to lie, man. Fight me for one of those hardcovers.
Yeah, no. At the time of recording, there are 214
the hardcover's got to be limited
followers.
edition, folks. I'm very sorry because of the cost of printing. There will only be 100 backer possibilities, tiers, whatever.
One of them is me, damn it.
Well, we have to fight 214 people, apparently, because at the time of recording, there's 214 followers. So I'm jumping on day of launch. Like, I want these hardcovers. I'm not missing out.
Cheers. Yeah, no, I definitely want to make sure that I've got one set aside for me. Actually, shoot, I should change that to 99 available because I want one.
Yeah. Gotta make sure you have at least one for yourself.
It's ticking down faster and faster.
I don't know where the others
I'm just sitting on the chair made of hardcovers. These are all mine.
Build yourself a
Yeah. So I genuinely think it's an exciting thing. I know you might be thinking, he's a bit biased. It's his magazine. But this whole thing comes out of me being a fan, wanting to make the thing I want to see in the world, wanting to make something, with a focus on having a greater body of diverse creators, a greater variety of storytelling within the genre. I think we've really tried to push the storytelling in Issue 0, and we'll be doing more so in Issues 1 and 2 while keeping it recognizable as Sword and Sorcery. Such a flexible genre. I love it. And just trying to put out the thing that I want. I'm not, like I said, I'm just a guy, not a big company. Please come out and support this thing if you want to see Sword and Sorcery grow as a genre, if you want to have a cool ass thing to read and look at, if you want to help pay creators more, it's all there.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for talking to us again, Oliver. Like I said, this episode will go out on the 2nd alongside the Kickstarter. We'll make that happen. And, dude, best of luck with it. Like I said, if I could give you my money right now for it, I would do it.
I've already tried clicking the button. It won't let me do the thing. I mean, we got to have a bit of a ramble with you at the start of this one. We got to have a bit of a ramble with you. But, John, was there anything you wanted to bring up from the first edition of this that came out, or anything you wanted to ask? Or
it was mainly, as you were talking earlier about the artwork of it, it was mainly a lot of that I just absolutely loved. Just as you started talking more and more, I was like, oh my god, an art book would be so freaking good. Just I wanted so much more of that for everything. And just when you said art book, like,
well, I guess, John, you're seeing the preview of the Kickstarter, so you can see the leaderboard I made of cropped art samples of the 19 people we've got on board. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff, huh?
The one from Sapro alone, if we're getting a bookmark that's personalized art kind of thing, just one-off kind of thing, and I'm keen for that alone, because that's stuff's amazing. It looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, no, bless her. I was really happy she signed on. We've got all kinds of people there, including some pedigree. Actually, we have Frank Rosetta's granddaughter has joined us. Sarah doesn't try to put herself out there as being her grandfather. Who would? But she manages kind of his estate and the prints and everything of him, and likes to get involved in projects. So it's kind of fun, actually. We've got both Moorcock and a Frazetta in the thing.
The old guard is represented.
Yeah, and then as I say, we've got people returning. We've got new talent. There's all kinds of people I can mention. I mean, just off the top of my head, no shade on the others. Daniel Vega comes to mind. I really like his sort of Lovecraftian cosmic horror
thing there for that, and it looks amazing. Yeah. I need to look this artist up.
See, I really
he draws
like,
all kinds.
Simon Underwood. I really like the stuff that you got there.
Or Simon Underwood, he's returning. Yep, I'm very happy
That's
to have
really
him.
lovely.
And and let's say the two cover artists, Gilead, who did issue 0, will be back for issue 2. And you can see on the sample there, and listener, you will be able to see on the Kickstarter page, which will be live, so don't feel excluded here. You can also see a cropped sample of Katerina Gabrice. I'm buggering it. Oliver, you incompetent boob. Katerina Gerbasi, sorry, Katerina, if I'm buggering that. She's going to be doing the cover for issue 1, which I actually told you guys the cover concept when we talked about issue 0, and I looked around, and Katerina is going to be executing that, a riff on a classic Frazetta work, which I'll say no more because people can go back and listen to the episode about issue 0 if they want.
If it's the one I think it is,
that cover I discussed with you is if we fund, it is happening, and I can't wait for that. Issue 2's cover, because the thing, right? Issue 1's got to be the brand, so that's issue 1 is a specific commission. Issue 2 will be a scene from a story. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it'll be illustrated by Gilead, and he'll do a bloody good job because that's what he does.
All right, I think we're going to have to wrap things up at this point. It's become early morning here now. It is no longer evening. Time zoning's a fun thing. So I think we're going to have to call this one at this point. Again, thank you very much for coming back on to talk to us all. We're very, like no bullshit, no pandering to your ego or anything. We are super fucking excited about this.
Oh, yeah.
I can guarantee you getting one of those hardcovers.
We will
Even
fight
if I got to get on a plane and come to Canada and take it from your cold, dead hands, I will have a hardcover.
My hands can be cold while I'm alive. I'm in Canada.
That's great.
Sorry, Australia, it's never cold.
But thanks, guys. No, it's fun to be back on. I really appreciate you helping me get out the good word for this, because that is one of the big battles, right? You can make the coolest thing on Earth. It doesn't matter if nobody knows it exists.
And I can honestly say, even outside of the magazine itself, if you ever want to come back on and just have a chat with us, you're more than welcome.
Sure, yeah. Anytime you guys are chatting about something that makes sense to have on an extra guest that talks about what I talk about, I'm up for it.
Excellent.
Okay, cool. Well, to everybody out there, thank you very much for listening to us, and I hope you enjoyed this extra special episode. Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.
See ya.
You wish sorcery.com.